Chapter 10. The bell rang for social studies. The classroom door closed. The seat behind Travis was empty. No whispers, no pencil jab. When they broke off to work on their projects, Travis doodled in the margins of notebook paper. "Is your outline ready to go, Travis?" Miss Gordon knelt next to his desk. He shook his head. "Did you and Velveeta decide what you're doing?" "We're not partners." "So, you're going to work individually?" she asked, and Travis nodded. "You'll still need to turn in an outline by the end of class today." When the bell rang, Travis was the first one out the door. Fourth period, Travis stared at the line drawings in the Fox book as the minutes ticked by. "Travis Roberts," McQueen called. Travis's head jerked up like it was on a string. "Come into my office, please. Bring your book. I'd like to cut into your lunch period for a minute or two." Travis took a deep breath. First the project, and now this. Skate by time was over. "Have a good weekend, people," McQueen said as the bell rang. "I know you'll all spend it reading." He turned to Travis. "How's the book going?" "Fine. You didn't turn in the paragraph on literature last week, and you turned in a blank paper for the vocabulary quiz on Wednesday." Travis slid into his teacher talk slouch. He stopped hearing the words. McQueen's voice was a low and distant rumble, like a summer storm that passed north, never coming close. Bam! The crash lifted Travis all the way out of his seat. "Sorry," McQueen said, grinning, "but not really. I wanted your attention, and the book bang does it every time. Are you here with me now?" Travis nodded. His heart skipped as if McQueen had just shot a lightning jolt straight into his chest. "What I asked was, do you want to?" "Want to what?" McQueen didn't take his eyes off Travis's for a second. His voice went quiet, nighttime quiet. "Learn to read, Mr. Roberts. Do you want to learn to read?" Travis swallowed hard as the heat curled up his face. "I can read." His voice didn't sound like his own. "Do you want to learn to read better? Read easily, without so much struggle?" McQueen's voice was a low running motor, and his eyes were soft behind the glasses. "You, Travis Roberts, can learn to read, but only if you, Travis Roberts, decide to learn. If you decide, I'll teach you, and you will learn." A clump of mud rose in Travis's throat and stuck there. He couldn't have said anything if he wanted to. His eyes pricked. "When you decide, let me know," said McQueen. "Now, go to lunch." Travis went into a stall in the boys' room, closed the door, and sat on the toilet. The mud clump stuck in his throat, not going up or down. Mrs. Keatley, the reading specialist at Salisbury, used to say, "Try, Travis. Can't you just try?" At first he tried really hard. After a while, Mrs. Keatley's lipsticky lips got less smiley when she saw him, and they both knew it was a waste of time. So he stopped trying. He couldn't read, not really, not like Velveeta or Amber or Chad or Bradley or Megan or everyone else. Even Grandpa could read. He swallowed hard, pushing the mud down. Maybe he should just try again. Just try, Travis. The memory of Mrs. Keatley's voice was enough to stop him. He stood up, slung his backpack over his shoulder, and rubbed his hands hard over his face. He stepped out of the stall just as Bradley came in from the hallway. "Hey, Travis, where's Velveeta?" he asked. "Is she sick?" "How would I know?" "Do you know about the girls' report cards?" Bradley held out a piece of paper. Travis scanned the paper and found his name. Across from it was a line of letters, a couple of A's, a B, and a C, and 2 F's. Of course there were F's. "They've been doing report cards on all of us, and Cassidy made me a copy. I flunked tall and hot, but I got a C for cute and an A for smart. I don't get how hot and cute are different, do you?" Travis shook his head and handed the paper back to Bradley. He couldn't even tell what he got the 2 A's for. Chad was the only one who got an A for funny. A couple more guys banged in, and Travis headed for the lunchroom. He got tomato soup, figuring that could slide past the mud clump without too much trouble. He sat in the usual spot by himself. Amber Raleigh sat in the end of the table reading. Travis glanced over as she turned another page. He reached in his backpack, took out the Fox book, and looked at the picture. Remembered the beginning of the story Mr. McQueen had read. He traced the fox with his finger and looked at the hound on the background. He opened to the first page. It was a something, so something that something the he didn't want to try. Just the idea of trying made his guts clench. But McQueen hadn't said try. He'd said, I will teach you and you will learn. Like it was a done deal, like he knew. After the last bell, Travis stood in the doorway of McQueen's classroom. McQueen was there. Travis almost backed out. Then he took a deep breath, walked quickly across the room, and stopped in the doorway of the office. McQueen looked up from the book he was reading. Yeah, Mr. Roberts? I decided. Decided what, Mr. Roberts? I want to learn. McQueen grinned like he'd been waiting all day for Travis to stand in his doorway and say just exactly that. I'll see you here Monday morning at 8. That'll give us half an hour before the first bell. Bring Haunt Fox with you. Okay, said Travis, backing away. Travis, said Mr. McQueen, have a good weekend. Velveeta on Saturday. The Madre made roasted chicken last night and mashed potatoes and even some carrots and a frozen cherry pie, unfrozen. Then we played cribbage for a couple of hours. It was a very down-home fun, and I won $3 off her. So add that to my library stash, and I'm officially rich. Jimmy never showed. Maybe he got arrested or took too many drugs, and he's dead in his crappy apartment, and I'll never have to see him again. If I were my brother's keeper, I'd make him wear a muzzle like Hannibal Lecter in Silence of the Lambs. So there we learn that Jimmy is Velveeta's brother. I called the electric company and told them to turn on the power in your trailer. Easy. I just used the Madre's info and told them to send the bill here. I asked Connie at work today if she would write a check to the electric company if I gave her cash for it. I told her my mom won't pay the electric bill and I have to. That was supposed to make her feel sorry for me. I think it worked. She said she would anyway. Yesterday was a really long day. I wonder if Travis missed me. Probably he feels bad now for saying I was bugging him. Or maybe he's just happy I wasn't there bugging him. Maybe I should just stay here in his trailer and never come out. At first I was a little scared to be in here because I thought you might be ghosting around. But you're definitely not. I've looked everywhere, even under the bed. There's nothing in here but empty.